Chapter 8. After that, it was awkward between the two teams. Neither knew how to approach the other, and it was even noticed by the teachers. Which is why Aizawa put Deku and Ochako on the same team a few weeks later at the joint training. November 29th. The joint training between Class A and B were down to the wire. It was the final match and Izuku stood face to face with Nito Monoma. "You won't help your comrades. How heartless of you." Monoma had a sly grin on his face. "I need to keep him in my line of sight. I can't get caught. You know, I talked with Shinso-kun about this. Those who are blessed in this world fall the hardest. If you're his friend, then tell me this." Monoma held his hands together as he prepared to use a quirk. How can Bakugo-kun smile so confidently? Izuku's face became twisted as anger flowed through him. Monoma opened his arms and parts started to appear next to him. Especially since he's the reason for the demise of the symbol of peace. Izuku prepared to use air force but felt a buzz through his ear. His arm started to sting and a large black substance started to fly out. Pain shot through the boy's body. The substance started to surround Izuku as he screamed in pain. Monoma, not believing what was going on, smiled. "What's this? Another development? How unpleasant. Why, what's going on? Up until now there was nothing wrong with it." Izuku thought to himself as he tried to get one for all under control. He saw the substance start to chase Monoma. "Run away," he yelled as he growled, trying to stop whatever was going on. The substance attached to a wall near Monoma and ripped Izuku directly into it, caused a boom to be heard across the mock battlefield. "Shinso-kun!" Monoma could be heard yelling. Izuku looked up from the ground he had landed on and saw Shinso sitting down with his eyes bulging. Izuku tried to push his body against the floor. "Run away. This power, I can't control it. It's overflowing." The mysterious power shot out of the building and up into the air. It was huge, even on the other side of the battlefield. Ochako saw it. "What's that?" Minutes asked, confused as the black and green substance went berserk. The group had to dodge. Ochako was almost hit but got by easy. She looked over to the source of the substance and saw Izuku get dragged into another building. "Deku-kun." Ochako stood with her mouth open. "Why? It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Stop." Izuku yelled as he looked at his arm and held his leg over it. "I just don't want others to worry anymore." Izuku grit his teeth and he squeezed down on the arm. "Stop it one for all." Without thinking, Ochako activated her quirk on herself and jumped to Izuku, landing on him in a bear hug position. "Deku-kun, calm down," Ochako yelled as the substance knocked off her mask. "I can't stop it. He isn't doing this of his own free will. What's happening?" Ochako swung her head to the side and saw Shinso. "Shinso-kun," she screamed to the boy, who blinked a few times. "Use your brainwashing to stop Deku-kun." She screamed as scratches showed up on her hero suit and a few on her face. A few more seconds went by before Shinso took off his voice-altering mask and he grinned. "Midoriya, let's fight again," he yelled, and Izuku squeezed his eyes closed as the pain got worse. "RRRRRAHHH. Yeah." The substance went stiff in all different directions as Izuku became brainwashed. It suddenly all re-entered Izuku's arm and the arm went back to its normal color. Ochako kept the two in the air and breathed in heavily as they floated in circles. Shinso deactivated his quirk but Izuku still was unconscious. "Deku-kun." She tapped the boy's cheek. She slowly started to panic. "Deku-kun, wake up." She raised her voice a bit as she continued to tap the boy's cheek. Her heart started to race and she cringed. "Sorry." She smacked the boy across the face and he shook his head and looked around. "Deku-kun." Izuku heard. "Are you okay? I hope I didn't hurt you with that slap." "Uraraka-san, please stay away, it's dangerous." He looked into between him and his arm quickly. The two reached the ground. "You feeling okay?" Ochako asked, relieved that the boy calmed down. "Uraraka-san, you're injured." "Ah, What did I do? Izuku went to reach for the cut on her cheek. It's not over yet. Izuku turned and dodged a swipe from Monoma. Monoma-kun. Ochako stood up and started to run at the boy. I told you to wait. Ochako and Monoma met forearms and Monoma grinned. Something was about to hit something in Ochako's head and Izuku dragged her down onto the ground with him. There they are. Take this. Mineta yelled as he and Mina started to bombard the other team with balls and goo. Midoriya, Uraraka, everything okay? Mina called out to the two. Ochako started to reply but Izuku was in his own world. If you activate your power while you're angry, the power will respond in kind. It's essential that you control what's in your heart. Banjo's words echoes through his mind as he looks over to Ochako. My heart, he thinks to himself before appearing behind Ochako and catching Shinso's Aizawa-esque tape. One for all. It should have harmed anyone but, my head is so clouded. Izuku was pulled out of his thoughts by Shinso dragging him onto the ground. Ochako looked over the edge to see him on the ground. You've lost the power. Deku-kun is. Izuku was on his knees and kept himself from the ground. In my current state I can't use my quirk. I might expose everyone to danger again. Izuku told Ochako. Then let's retreat for the moment. We can regroup. If we retreat, we'll lose. Izuku looked up at Shinso. While we have Shinso-kun right in front of our eyes. Now is our chance to win. Deku-kun. Ochako landed next to the boy who was staring at Shinso. Are you really going to fight Quirkless right now? Quote. Yay. Can I ask you a favor, Uraraka-san? Before Izuku could speak again, Monoma showed up next to him and Ochako. He had power flowing around him and both Izuku and Ochako's eyes widened. The same thought in their minds. One for all, I've got your power, Monoma screamed. Monoma-kun, wait, it's dangerous. Izuku started to yell but Ochako jumped onto the boy's back, pinning him to the ground. It's a bluff. He doesn't have it. Izuku looked back to the girl and nodded before looking back to Shinso. Shinso started to pull back his cloth but Izuku grabbed on and used Ochako's quirk to propel himself up to the high ground that Shinso was on. Release, Ochako said, putting the tips of her fingers together. Izuku lands on Shinso's chest and he grins. Seems like the last time we've been able to go against each other was during the sports festival. If I lose sight of you the battle shifts. You're the main threat, Shinso-kun. Izuku thought to himself. Metal pipes above them started to fall and Izuku glanced up. I'm not who I was back then, Midoriya. Shinso yelled as they started to fall. Izuku closed his eyes. Banjo showed up in his mind. What's essential is to control what's in your heart. His voice said, the aura that person had, and his tone. Various aspects of him reminded me of All Might. Go ahead. The voice of Banjo echoed in his head as Black Whip flew out from his arms and onto the pipes that were going to hit him. Use us. This power is my friend. The words All Might has said to me. The time we spent together at the seaside park. All helped to build up my heart, if I think about it. How far I've come from where I began. Izuku looked up to Shinso who had wide eyes. I feel like I can do anything. TCH, what are you? Shinso started to get up. Were you just bluffing the whole time you were struggling? Man, I wish I could take back my mercy. Izuku felt pain shoot through his body as the Black Whip retracted. It hurts. Izuku spoke to himself as he looked at his hand. He looked up to Shinso who started to run away using the cloth to swing. Izuku grit his teeth. 20% won't work. I don't want to lose control again. 8%. Full cowl surrounded his body and he started to chase Shinso. He jumped at him but suddenly got hit by a whole different attack. That must have been twin impact from Monoma earlier. Izuku thought as blood shot out of his nose and he fell to the ground. Izuku grit his teeth and looked to Shinso who was throwing the cloth at Izuku trying to capture him. Izuku grabbed the cloth and spun around wrapping himself in it. Shinso looked at him as Izuku continued to rush. Izuku kicked the boy in the chest and held him down with his forearm. We won this. That was such a low blow. It was 10 times worse for Izuku. He saw how much trauma and survivor's guilt Bakugo was suffering through during their fight. If I was him in that moment, my ADHD would have caused some impulsive movement and I would have been screaming his head off. Skull fuck off.